Hello everybody, this is Gruesome Fox coming at you with two 300 cost rated matches in the Bugu. This first match is going to be a ground match on a military base, with the following match being a space match in Derelict Colony, and for both of these matches I'm going to be using the level 2 version of the Bugu. When the suit initially came to GBO2, it was added as a 250 cost general through a token pack, but thanks to the limited missions we've had for this week of the GBO2 Spring Festival, we now have a new level 2, 3, and 4 version to play with. And out of all of the limited mission suits they showed us we were supposed to be getting as part of this event, the Bugu was the one that I was the most excited for, with the Zanny coming in second place there, and that's because the Bugu and Zanny are both lower cost units that really do not have a whole lot of time to shine because of their low cost placing, and the Bugu, especially since it was a token pack suit, made it even more limited. When they added the token pack for the Bugu, they did bring back 250 in map rotation, but I don't think it was that long until 250 disappeared again, so if you had the native cost version of the Bugu, your best bet of using it after that period was to either go through custom matches, or you could go into 300 cost quick matches where they let you use under cost units. But thanks to the limited missions we've had for this week, it's no longer an issue since we can now use this suit at 300, 350, and 400. Strangely enough for the limited missions though, they did not include the native cost version of the Bugu. It kind of gives me the same vibe of what they've been doing with the clan suits like the Gelgoog L and the Goof Hover type, where they've been doing these banners where you can get the level 2, 3, and 4, but not the level 1. And with the clan suits, I can understand it a bit more because they are coming through the supply counter, but with the Bugu here being a token pack unit, it is weird that they did not include it as part of the limited missions just to give us the level 1 version. Especially weird too, considering with the Gym Ground types of weapon rack, that was a clan suit, but even that one they gave us the native cost version even though that starts at 250, so I do wonder why the Bugu was excluded with that, but really there's a lot of things I wonder here when it comes to the Bugu being implemented in GBO2. But speaking about that, Bugu, as it is in GBO2, is a pretty nice general overall. Mostly going to be talking about the 300 cost version in this video here. As of recording, I have not tried the 350 one yet, and I'm still trying to get the 400 cost version. But for the 300 cost version here, I would say it's a pretty good general overall, and also a very interesting general with the way they went about doing its weapons and skills. And we'll briefly go over that here. The first thing that's going to stand out with the Bugu is that you have no range strength with this unit. Doesn't matter, I believe, what level of the Bugu it is, they all have 0 range strength. So they definitely want you to go more in with melee with this unit, which is pretty understandable because the melee on the Bugu is pretty good, especially with the downswing you get with the Heat Hawk here. But moving on to the weapons, for your primary you do have a prototype MS Bazooka. This is a pretty standard bazooka, kind of similar almost to the Zaku 1 bazooka, I would say, because it is a bazooka that does only carry 3 rounds, but it is a standard instant stunning bazooka and a pretty reliable weapon, so can't go too wrong there. You also have that Bugu Heat Hawk as your main melee weapon. I believe the neutral and side swings for this are the same as the standard kind of Xeon moveset, but you do have that double downswing that I'm using right now as your downswing, and this animation looks similar to the mass production type Double Zeta. I am not sure if they are exactly the same animation, but does look pretty similar to that one, so pretty similar to the MP Double Zeta there. But yeah, really nice high damaging downswing, especially if you can land it on a raid where you can get type advantage. Yeah, you can really land some damage with it, especially too since you can use the downswing twice. You can quickly follow up with it again, so again, really effective at dealing damage with the way this unit is built. For sub-weapons, you have a machine gun as your secondary offensive weapon, and the machine gun is interesting. It does some really decent damage for being a weapon on a suit that has 0 range strength, but its accumulation and parts breaking is not really that good. I did try it in free practice to see what the numbers on it were, and it seems for stagger accumulation you have to use just about the whole magazine to get an accumulation stagger, and I don't think I've ever staggered anyone with the machine gun because the more you fire it, the more the gun starts to spread. So yeah, not really the most effective at being an accumulation stun weapon, and parts breaking It seems like it's okay at that. I tried it again free practice against the Gym Command that's in like the 300 free practice, and it looked like it was able to break the legs with like about a full mag, but again, not really the most effective at that. So really does seem like this machine gun is meant to be more thrown in as a damage dealing weapon. Though if you do pair with somebody else with a stagger accumulation weapon, you can probably help get a stun faster that way. But for defense, you do also have the Bugu shield on the left arm, which is a pretty decently sized shield. So for the weapons, all really nice here. And for the skills here, you have Leg Shock Absorber level 2, Quick Boost level 2, Anti-Blast Stabilizer level 1, High Performance Balancer level 1, High Spec Ambac level 1, Enhanced Tackle level 3, Instant Thruster Precision System level 1, and Offense System level 1. And reading that list, you'll probably realize a few skills are missing from the Bugu here. I will also mention too, this is for the 300 cost Bugu. I do believe the higher costs do have some added skills to make them a bit more suited for those higher costs. But I think, again, like no matter which version of the Bugu you're using, you do not have a dodge roll, you do not have a maneuver armor of any kind, and you do not have melee combo controller. So you only have one melee swing on the Heat Hawk there. And very interesting there for the Bugu, I guess because it is a 250 cost unit technically. They probably didn't want to give it too much. But in exchange for lacking those skills, you do get the Instant Thruster Precision System skill, which does reduce your consumption by 20% during tackle attacks. So you do get that, meaning that if you have, just about full thrusters, you can perform a double tackle. And paired with that, you do also get Enhanced Tackle level 3. So it seems like tackling was also meant to be a big part of the Bugu's sort of kit and playstyle here. But having a double tackle is definitely useful, especially since you don't have a dodge roll. You can use this to get those temporary iframes there. And it's also just good for, trying to maybe use on an enemy who tries to melee you twice. They think you used all of your thrusters, but nope, you still have one more tackle saved up depending on how much thrusters you use. So definitely a useful skill and something I don't think is really around at 250 to 300. I think that is something that maybe only the Bugu carries around these lower costs. Could be wrong with that. Leave in the comments if there are any suits that also have the thruster precision skill here. But yeah, really just kind of looking at the Bugu, and this is why I say this suit is just so interesting all around the board. It has an interesting kit of skills and weapons. It has an interesting sort of history being added to the game as a token pack suit. It's really interesting overall. Another interesting thing, it is currently our only suit from Mobile Suit Gundam The Origin, which I think is also really weird. That's kind of my theory as to maybe why the suit was added as a token pack, is that maybe they were trying to gauge how well received Origin would be, but all this time later and we haven't gotten anything else from Gundam The Origin. But real quick, let's take a look at this first ground match here, see how we did with the level 2 Bugu. And yep, we do have a mission complete. And yep, top individual, top assist, and top in damage. And first place with 7 kills and 1 loss. So really good match there with the Bugu, and that's going to take us into our second match in space here in a moment, after getting this recon drop. But yeah, going back to Origin units in GBO2, and this is going to be the space match here. I should mention too, the Bugu does also have space compatibility, so you do get extra benefits for using this suit in space, which is the main reason I wanted to include this second match here, just to show this suit's space performance. But yeah, looking at like Origin in GBO2, it's very strange that the Bugu was the only suit that we ever got, again, as a token pack unit. There's plenty of units from Origin that I feel like they could add, even if it is just like the variants of the Zaku 2. Some of these Zaku 2s in the Origin are just very different from the ones that are, just from the original series and what we have here in GBO2. It would be really interesting to at least get some of them, at least a Char Zaku 2 that maybe comes with like the bazooka and the anti-ship rifle. That would be a really cool addition, but I think adding Origin in general, like more Origin units, would be really beneficial for GBO2, because it would mean that we would get some more lower cost options added to the game. But yeah, it really just doesn't seem to be much of the case anymore. We've kind of been for a while now really more focused on higher costs, but we did get that new Heavy Jim Kai 400 recently, so that is another lower cost unit. But Again, just when it comes to the Origin units, I feel like we could get some really nice, like 300, 350 units. Really just a lot of cool stuff that they could add. The Black TriStar High Mobility Zaku's would be pretty cool to see. Like, again, just plenty of options, plenty of options. I'm gonna stop there before I just I just list off the whole Origin mobile suit roster over here, trying to think of things they could add to GBO2. But I think a Char's Zaku definitely should be added at some point, either as a token pack suit or as a step-up banner or something like that. I think, you know, just one other suit from Origin would be really nice to get. But yeah, Bugu here. I think I said earlier that I find this unit to be really nice, and it's a really fun unit too. A little bit of a learning curve, I would say, though, because you have to get used to not having, like, the dodge roll or maneuver armor or any of the other skills that more suits at 300 have really gotten these days. But I will still say that the Bugu at 300 does feel like a really nice general, still really viable unit too. Again, if you can get in there and perform your melee attack, perform the full downswing, go up with the follow-up downswing, you could really start stacking your melee damage and even the ranged weapons too. For a suit that has no range strength, as I said, the machine gun has some really good damage behind it, and even the bazooka, I would say, is a pretty reliable bazooka model. So I would say the Bugu does have some viability to it, but at 300 I think it definitely has to deal with some pretty tough competition. The first suit that comes to mind when I was playing this unit was the Dozle Zaku. Dozle Zaku is another 300 cost general that is really melee oriented, and the Dozle Zaku does have some similar things to the Bugu here. You do have a rocket launcher, you have some really good melee with a big heat hawk, but the Dozle Zaku also has a bit more going for it. You do have two melees with the heat hawk and the punch. You have some really good grenades. You have maneuver armor, melee combo controller. You have the spike tackle shield on the Dozle, which is really good for tackling. So that suit does have quite a bit more, I would say, compared to the Bugu here. Dozle Zaku also has space compatibility as well, so you do get the space benefits on that suit as well. And the other suit I can kind of think of would be, of course, the Firepower type Agai. Firepower type Agai still really much of a menace at 300. A lot of good range weapons and, you know, the mines and everything. I don't think there's too much else I can really say about the Firepower type Agai that has not been said about it already. But yeah, I mean, that'd be another suit that I would say is kind of a threat to the Bugu here, especially, as I said, Bugu does not have really that much in terms of range strength. It has to get in close in order to really do the most of its damage. So with a suit like the Firepower type Agai that has so many weapons that it can rely on, especially with those boosting head rockets, again, no maneuver armor or anything on the Bugu, so it is pretty easy to stun this unit if you are not careful. But those are really the main two suits, at least in terms of generals, that I can think of. Other than that, like I said, I think the Bugu is pretty good overall once you get the hang of it. There's, I think, plenty of times, maybe in this match, I may have accidentally hit my teammates a little. Maybe another match I'm thinking of, but yeah, probably the biggest warning I can give probably relates to that downswing with the Heat Hawk there. Even though the Heat Hawk is a weapon that doesn't tend to have a whole lot of range on it, I've still managed to accidentally hit my teammates quite a few times with it, just with the way the downswing animation kind of goes. So that is definitely something you want to be careful of there. I don't think I mentioned either how good the neutral on this unit is as well. Neutral, again, really paired with that high melee damage you get with the Bugu. Even a neutral on this can be really deadly, especially to a lower health enemy. There are plenty of times where I just go in with the neutral instead of the downswing, and I didn't really think I would get the finishing blow with that neutral, but nope, ends up being the, last little bit I need to take down an enemy. So, yeah, really just good there when it comes to the stats and everything. And Bugu, really am just glad to see it finally in a more accessible form. As I said way early in the video, it's still really weird that we did not get the level 1 as part of the limited missions, even though you can't really use it at 250 these days. I would still really like to have the native cost version. Its exclusion from the limited missions is still pretty weird if you ask me. I guess they had to give us that satchel pack for the pilot cosmetic. That was more important than the 250 Bugu, but yeah, when it comes to 300, I do think this unit is pretty good. I do want to try it out at like 350 and 400 when I get the opportunity. I still just need to get the 400, and then, probably we'll see what type of builds I can do with it. I don't know if the suit would have the most part slots to put on a lot of those higher tier kind of custom parts on it, so that'd probably be the biggest thing to figure out there, is how to really build a higher cost Bugu. But yeah, just really glad that we got this, and it's kind of the same deal for a lot of the other suits we've been getting at like lower costs, such as the Zanny. Zanny now having a 300 to 350 is really nice, because I think the Zanny is a really good support unit, and yeah, it did get that 250 from the supply depot when they added a lot of the level 2 Code Fairy units, but as I said, 250 doesn't appear in GBO2 anymore, so having the higher level versions is nice. Kind of the same deal with the Gym Ground Types weapon rack, even though that is a suit I'm still very much mixed on. I'm still not sure what to think about the weapons rack Gym. I've been trying to get some good matches in it to maybe talk about it one day, but I haven't gotten anything I'm really, like, satisfied with, and yeah, not really too sure what to think about that suit, but Zanny's pretty good. That's another one I hope to talk about sometime in the future here. Let's see, right now fighting against two Drossies. I believe one is a Drossie Kai and the other is a Drossie Kai Heavy. Unfortunately not going to survive for the last seconds of the match here. Yeah, Drossie Kai Heavy is going to get the finishing blow on me. But yep, going to be nearing the last couple seconds, and that is going to be a timeout mission over. Got some good works in the side chat there, so let's see how we did with this space match in the Bugu. Again, both these matches at 300 with the level 2 Bugu. And yep, top individual, and did beat my rival for this match. And first place overall with 9 kills and 2 losses. So, again, really good match there with the Bugu. Unfortunately, did have a disconnect during this time. I was trying to play the Bugu in space in an earlier match, but then I had to come back, I got disconnected, and I got this match, so, yeah, GBO2's connection is still very iffy sometimes, but that's going to be everything I have here for the Bugu. Again, really neat general, really interesting general, and one I'm just really glad to see that we have gotten through these limited missions, and, yeah, really don't have too much else to say about it, just a pretty nice unit. I guess the last thing I could say about it is that my two nitpicks with the Bugu is that you cannot remove the commander antenna. This is listed as the Vumball version, but I really wish we could remove it to make a standard Bugu. And my biggest nitpick with this suit is that I really wish its counter animation was the kind of knee kick that it does to the gun cannon in the Origin, but aside from that, everything else about the Bugu, pretty good overall. So that's going to be everything I have for this video here. Comment down below what you think about the Bugu. Remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. And with that, I will see you all in the next one. Later.